The stranger in room 7. The evening shift had been quiet at the Riverside Manor Hotel. Sarah wiped down the hallway tables, her uniform crisp and neat, the white apron hanging perfectly at her waist. She was a maid here, had been for almost 2 years now. The work was steady, predictable, safe. It was nearly midnight when she carried fresh linens to the 7th floor. The guest rooms were mostly empty on weeknights. Her footsteps echoed softly down the carpeted hall. The blue light from the windows cast long shadows against the walls. Outside, snow was beginning to fall. Everything felt peaceful, quiet. She reached room 7 at the end of the corridor. The door was already unlocked. That was strange. Sarah frowned and pushed it open slowly. The room was dimly lit by a single bedside lamp. The decorative headboard and elegant furniture cast shadows across the space. But what caught her attention immediately was the man lying on the bed. He was breathing, alive, but something was wrong. Sarah's heart quickened. The man was unconscious, his head turned slightly to the side. His clothing was torn and stained. Dark streaks marked his chest and arms. Her mind raced through the possibilities. An accident, a fight. She stepped closer, her training as a hotel worker mixing with something more instinctive. A concern for another person. His face was handsome, even in sleep. Sharp features, dark hair. A small scar along his jawline suggested a life lived harder than most. But his breathing was shallow. His skin was pale. Sarah moved without thinking. She went to the bathroom and gathered what she needed. Clean towels, water, the small first aid kit kept in every room. She worked carefully, her hands steady despite the pounding in her chest. She pulled back his jacket. Underneath, she found a wound on his side. It wasn't deep, but it was bleeding. Someone had hurt him recently. As she cleaned the wound with gentle hands, she studied his face. He remained unconscious. There was something vulnerable about him now, something almost fragile. She realized he was someone's son, perhaps someone's brother, maybe someone's lover. Whoever he was, he needed help. She bandaged the wound carefully, moving with practiced efficiency. Then she pulled a chair beside the bed and sat down to watch him. In these small hours of the night, with only the sound of wind against the windows, Sarah found herself wondering about him. Who was he? Why was he here? What had happened to bring him to this state? Hours passed. The snow continued to fall outside. The city below grew even quieter. Around 3 in the morning, the man stirred. His eyes flickered open. They were dark and sharp, alert immediately, despite his injuries. His hand moved instinctively toward his side. Where Sarah had bandaged him, she remained still, not wanting to startle him. "It's all right," she said quietly. "You're safe. I'm Sarah, I work here." He studied her for a long moment. Confusion crossed his features. Then something else. Recognition, perhaps. Or resignation. "Where am I?" His voice was rough, unused. "The Riverside Manor. You were bleeding. I found you here and bandaged your wound." She paused. "I didn't call anyone. I wasn't sure what had happened." He closed his eyes again. When he opened them, they seemed to focus on her differently. "You could have turned me in, called the police." "I could have," Sarah agreed softly. "But something told me that wouldn't help you." He was quiet for a long time. Outside, the snow began to lighten. The first hints of dawn started creeping across the sky, painting it in shades of purple and gray. "My name is Marcus," he said finally. "And you shouldn't be around me, Sarah. It's not safe." She already knew that somehow. His presence carried weight. There was something dangerous about him, something that spoke of a different world. A world she had only glimpsed from her safe position here in the hotel. But there was also something in his eyes that suggested he was not entirely the person his injuries implied. "Are you going to hurt me?" she asked. "No." He said it with such certainty that she believed him. "Then you're welcome to stay, at least for tonight. You need to rest." In the days that followed, Marcus remained in room 7. Sarah told the hotel management he had paid for an extended stay. She brought him meals. She changed his bandages. And slowly, Marcus began to heal. He told her stories during the long afternoons. About his childhood, about the choices that had led him down a darker path, about the business he had built, which was more ruthless than anything she could have imagined. He told her he was known in certain circles, that powerful people feared his name, that he had done things he could never take back. But there was something else too. Beneath all of that was a man who had spent too long alone, a man who had forgotten what it felt like to be treated with simple kindness, to be seen not as a threat or a criminal, but as a person who mattered. Sarah listened without judgment. She saw the real man beneath the reputation. And Marcus, for the first time in years, allowed himself to be vulnerable, to rest, to simply exist without the constant tension of his world. On the 8th night, as he stood by the window watching the city lights, Marcus turned to her. "You could leave this place," he said. "I have money, connections, you could have any life you wanted." Sarah smiled gently. "I like my life, Marcus. It's simple, but it's real." She paused. "The question is, what will you do?" He was quiet for a long moment. Outside, the snow had stopped. The sky was clear and full of stars. "I'm thinking about leaving," he said finally. "Starting over, finding something real too." Sarah reached out and took his hand. It was scarred, strong, a hand that had done things both terrible and necessary. But it was also a hand that could change, could choose something different. Then maybe we can figure it out together, she whispered. Marcus looked at her, and for the first time in a very long time, he smiled. It was a genuine smile, one that suggested hope, one that suggested that even a man like him, feared by so many, could still find something worth protecting, something worth living for. The snow began to fall again outside the window, gentle and quiet, covering the city in white, and inside room 7, two people stood together in the soft light, beginning something that neither of them could have predicted, something that suggested that redemption was possible, that kindness could heal even the deepest wounds, that sometimes the smallest acts of mercy could change everything.